This is version 1 of Prosper Sustainably's ETEP training video on updating an ETEP Strategic Work Plan. An ETEP Strategic Work Plan is a Tribal Environmental Plan, or TEP. An ETEP Strategic Work Plan, or TEP, is a major component of an EPA-Tribal Environmental Plan, or ETEP. However, keep in mind that a full ETEP will include other components which can be further explained by your GAP grant project officer. During this training, I will cover how to update your ETEP strategic plan that was designed by Prosper Sustainably. So we are starting on the main page of the ETEP strategic work plan spreadsheet, and this is where we have our goals, our description of priority program areas, goals, and objectives listed. So if you go to the overview tab, you'll see in this description right here, an ETEP strategic work plan, or TEP, is meant to be a living, perpetual 4-year strategic work plan. Each TEP component should be updated, or each TEP priority program area should be updated and revised at least annually, including adding an additional year of activities to the end of the period and archiving the year that has just passed. So what this means is this currently is a 4-year plan from 2016 through 2019. So that's 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. By the end of 2016 or in early 2017, this plan should be updated, and 2016 should be archived, and objectives 2020 should be added, so that the new plan, or the updated plan, would actually be for 2017 to 2020 for the 4 years of 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. And in addition to adding objectives for 2020 and archiving objectives for 2016, there should be a review and a revision of all the objectives in between. So some of the 2016 objectives will be archived, some of them will not have been accomplished and will be shifted to 2017, some 2000 or later, or deleted as not going to be pursued any further. Some or they could be relabeled as possible. And then 2017 is the same thing. You know, some activities will stay the same, some will need to be shifted back to a later year, some will need to be changed to possible or deleted. And we're going to go through an example of how to do that and what it involves. So we'll start at the top of the sheet, and let's just assume that, so for 2016, where you'd go through the sheet line by line and identify what the status is of each objective. So starting on line 33, conduct the air quality data review, analysis, and submission to AQS and the tribe. This is an ongoing activity related to air quality monitoring. So we're going to assume in this scenario that this is actually a repeat activity that's going to occur in future years. So if this is an ongoing activity, there would already be an objective in 2017 that's essentially a repeat of this one. So in this case, this objective would need to be archived, and the purpose of the archive, which is on this tab right here, is to keep track of what's been accomplished, so that you can go back and show somebody what was completed in 2016, and then as each year passes, what was completed. And so this blank table right now is a mirror of the table that is the objectives table. It's blank though, and this will only include the ones that were archived. This table can be modified. I think at minimum it's important to just keep track of what objectives were accomplished in what years. But you could actually provide more data, like you could, so in this case, there are estimates for how much staff time it took. Let's scroll over to staff time. You could put in the actuals instead of the estimated. You could put a comparison of the actuals to the estimated. You could, instead of a due date, you could put the completion date. in. So some of these are unnecessary to have, but I think just for the sake of it being clean and easy to transfer, it's good to have columns that align. So in this case, I'm going to cut this particular activity out. So I held on to the left, and I'm going to shift and select the entire row. I'm going to either right click and go to cut. You can also go to file, or let's see, you also can go under home and cut here, or you can hit Control X, and that now will cut it. And if you go over to archived objectives, you hit paste, and then you paste it there, and now it's been removed. So what you'll want to do here is you'll want to delete this because you don't want any blank. You don't want blank rows because blank rows will show up in pivot forms. They'll show up in when you're sorting and filtering, and it's more valuable if each row has information, has objectives information in it. So we'll delete that, and then the same thing here. So in 2016. The tribe was supposed to conduct an indoor air quality assessment, prepare a report, and develop an indoor air quality management plan. So let's say it's the very end of 2016, fiscal year 2016, and so far only the indoor air quality assessment has been completed, and the report is still in progress. So one quick way to do this is just, and so this is expected to be completed in 2017. So the year can simply be changed to 2017 here. If the assessment has been completed, then you could modify the objectives instead of saying conduct an indoor air quality assessment and prepare a report. Let's say the assessment's been conducted, but the report is not prepared. So we can just change this to prepare an indoor air quality assessment report and develop an indoor air quality management plan. So you'd want to change anything else here that needs to be changed as well. Especially because it's the upcoming year, you may want to also change the estimated work year. So originally it was estimated 200 hours. What is the remaining hours? So let's say these two activities still have 120 hours, and these are very rough estimates that may be an underestimate. It just depends on how detailed your report is, how detailed the assessment was, and how detailed the management plan is going to be. So that one was changed 2017, and you go through each one and you make those modifications and you move them over to the other spreadsheet as needed. So let's just say this one was also completed. We'll move it over to the archive. Let's say that the drafting the air quality ordinance was something that the tribe decided that it did not want to pursue at this time. So in this case, maybe we could change that to a possible activity, and like I said, delete the ones with no information in them. So you'll do that same process for all of 2016 until you get through those activities. And then in 2017, you'll make the same modification. So these activities still make sense for those years. In some cases you may decide that, the tribe's not going to be ready or did not secure the funding in 2016 to develop the climate adaptation plan 2017, so maybe this needs to get changed to 2018. And so if that gets changed to 2018, then there's a thread there, because following developing the climate change preparedness adaptation plan, eventually you'd come down to here, 2018, and see that the pilot implementation was supposed to occur, so this would need to be changed to 2019. And then in 2019, eventually, as you're proceeding through this, continuing the implementation was supposed to happen, but the pilot implementation is happening, so this would be 2020. now. So this is something where you can see an objective and know there's later ones you can change them that way. You can just go through them category by category uh, um, and year by year through them. But so then you're going to want to add some new objectives as well. So you're going to consider new 2020 objectives. So in this case, let's say that the tribe is going to implement or develop a GHG emissions database, or let's say tracking system and database. So this is a very hypothetical activity. This may be done a lot earlier. So then you would fill out the activity, what capacity indicators, if any, from the gap guidance is associated with, whose responsibility it is. So I don't know the exact capacity indicators. It might be G.3.11. This is a climate change related activity, and we're going to say that this is a monitoring related activity. It's not recurring. So you fill out that information and you update the plan, so then you now have a plan that just concludes 2017 through 2020 and a series of possible activities. You re-review your plans to manage authorized EPA programs. If any of these have changed, you want to update this. And you also want to update, review and update the description of the priority program areas and the long-term program area goals as well. See if they make sense, see if they need to be tweaked. In many cases, they won't need to be, but it's still important to review these again just to make sure that these all make sense. And I recommend doing this one program area at a time and working with that staff member who has primary responsibility over that program area. I also recommend doing this when you're going to be updating your plan. The best time I believe to do it is going to be when you're preparing your gap work plan, or before you're preparing your gap work plan. So, and this plan is already fiscal year 2016 through 2019. This plan I would not update this current calendar year. I would update it by the end of the fiscal year, however, which would be around, let's say, September, or maybe the very beginning of next fiscal year. But let's say September, the ideal time would be September of 2016 when this plan would be updated. The 2016 activities would be archived. The 2017 activities would be updated. And then and at the same time too, it may be helpful to estimate, the employee staff time for each objective for 2017. And this will help when you're preparing your your gap grant work plan for fiscal year 2017 to 2018. So no, actually, in that case, so I would recommend doing your 2017 staff time right now as you're preparing your gap work plans for fiscal year 16-17, and then adding in the staff time for 2018 as you're preparing the fiscal year 2017-2018 gap work plan, which is going to be somewhere either before or during that period of time, which is going to be end of the fiscal year 2015-16 or early fiscal year 2016-17. That is the end of this training video.